Hey guys, welcome to VGXP. Today we're going to be taking a look at Pools VR and determining whether it's worth picking up or not. Now look, before we get started, I want to make it very clear that there are some game-breaking bugs that show up towards the latter half of the game that force you to restart entire chapters. That right there might be enough to dissuade someone from purchasing this game, but for the low price of $10 USD, it does have some redeeming qualities that might allow you to look past those inconveniences. I was given access to a review copy of the game running on a base PS5 with the PSVR2. Let's start out with what this game actually is. If I had to use a word to describe the feeling I got when playing this game, it'd be unsettling. And honestly, I wouldn't even consider this to be a full game. It's definitely more of an experience in line with the likes of Kayak VR or Subside, just with a bit of a creepier edge. But in Pools, you play as an unnamed character, wandering through endless maze-like hallways and rooms that mostly take place in an indoor pool environment. There's no jump scares, nobody chasing you, but there are some things that go on throughout this experience that leave you feeling quite uneasy. The environments you find yourself in are large, empty, and purposefully left looking clean and sanitized, something you wouldn't really expect for an average VR horror experience. But this works in Pools' favor because everything just feels out of place in all the right ways. You're constantly thinking, why is this pool empty? Why are the lights out at the end of that hallway? What are those noises I keep hearing from inside of the water slides that are echoing throughout the facility? This is the entirety of the experience. With no puzzles, your goal in Pools is to complete each chapter by walking, running, swimming, and sliding through each maze-like environment with the hopes of reaching the end of the level to move on to the next chapter. The gameplay didn't really evolve much beyond this throughout the 7 chapters of the game, with a few minor exceptions that I'll highlight shortly. Over the course of my 2-hour gameplay, there were some things that I liked, and more things that left me quite frustrated. Let's start with the good. Sound design here, it's top-notch. To me, this is the biggest contributor to the creepy factor. Whether it be the sound of dripping water when you emerge from the pools, the slight echo from the hallways you walk through, or that weird, unrecognizable, random noises coming from the slides, making you think that you're either being watched or followed. I found these sounds all very convincing and increased my immersion tenfold. I'll also say for the most part, the game does look pretty good. There are a couple of issues with the visuals that I'll get to, but overall, it's close to the level of visual quality of Kayak VR, especially when it comes to water visuals. The biggest shakeup to the walking simulator gameplay is that very briefly, it allows you to shift your perspective by walking along walls and different surfaces to reach hidden doors and rooms that were previously inaccessible. It's not much, but it's something, I guess. Sound and visuals make or break a piece of art, and that's pretty much where my positives end with this experience. That's directly why I'd consider this more of an artistic experience rather than an actual game. The options are great as well. They include all of the standard settings for locomotion and comfort that you expect from a modern VR experience, including toggles to increase your movement speed. I turned this up a bit to streamline the experience, and for that, I really appreciated the option. Really, I'd say that it nails the atmosphere. There's nothing quite like this in VR, so I definitely commend it for giving me a fresh experience. But if you're looking for solid gameplay, I think you'll be let down for a multitude of reasons. First things first, let's tackle what I mentioned at the start. There's some unacceptable and game-breaking bugs that appeared for me in the latter half of the game. And after talking with others, I've also heard mentions of crashes. I can't speak personally to those, but I do know that it's quite easy to get stuck in an area you can't get out of, forcing you to restart a level entirely. I noticed this most when using the teleport function, allowing me to jump over rails that I shouldn't have been able to get over, or making me clip through walls that I couldn't get out of no matter what I tried. Luckily, these levels aren't too long, but they aren't terribly engaging either, meaning that the second time you experience them can feel quite like a slog. Let's just say I had to restart chapters 4, 6, and 7, each once after nearing the end of each level and encountering a game-breaking bug. Chapter 4 in particular was the biggest headache. You could probably beat this game within an hour and a half, but half my playthrough was spent wandering aimlessly during chapter 4, trying to find a hidden door that just didn't exist in my game. After wandering for about 30 minutes and starting to feel motion sick from the spiraling hallways and staircases, I decided to look up a walkthrough only to find that a hidden wall was not being triggered in my game, forcing me to restart the level. The worst part was that I couldn't even tell that I was experiencing a bug until I looked up a walkthrough, something I really didn't want to do for a game that's whole purpose is for the player to figure out how to get through multiple mazes on their own. And speaking of motion sickness, this game also has an issue where the entire world jitters. From what I understand, this is an issue tied to dynamic foveated rendering. Luckily, the devs include an option to disable DFR in the settings, but the issue is if you decide to disable the setting, you'll be playing a choppy version of the game, further contributing to the motion sickness factor. You basically have to pick your poison, and in my case, I chose to keep DFR enabled and just deal with the slight annoyance of the world jitter. Another interesting mention is that sometimes your character's movement speed would be changed dramatically at a second's notice, almost like you were being slingshotted through an area. It's not that big of an issue, but I did figure it was worth mentioning nonetheless, as it's definitely a strange experience for a game that banks so much on player immersion. Aside from technical issues though, I really just feel like Pools VR shows you everything you need to see within the first chapter. Sure, near the end of the game, especially with the final hidden chapter that you unlock after completing the first 6, the environments do change slightly, but those changes are no more interesting than the indoor pool environments. And those new chapters don't do much to shake up the gameplay, aside from what I mentioned in the positive section. Here's the gist of it. If you find what you see on the screen intriguing, this might be the experience for you. I think for you to enjoy this one, you have to be the kind of person who enjoys games like Kayak and Subside. Though, go into this one knowing that both of those visual experiences offered even more in terms of gameplay than Pools VR does. The nice thing is that this game is priced right for what it is. At around $10 USD, there's enough content to justify this cost. For someone expecting a unique experience and little to no actual gameplay, this might be what you're looking for. But to me, I cannot recommend this game based on the issues I encountered alone. I would need to see those game-breaking bugs fixed before waving the green flag to go ahead and make the purchase. Usually these types of games are great for first-time VR gamers who you want to try to blow away by stunning visuals. But with the world jitter, I almost feel like you could potentially be making a new VR gamer sick. It's too bad, because I was really having a good time until I hit the midway point of the game. Then it switched up on me. It went from intriguing and creepy to sluggish and frustrating. So until some things are fixed, even at this price, I still can't recommend this game. But that's the Pools VR experience. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing. I've been pretty swamped with work lately, but I'm really working hard to bring you more content just like this. Happy gaming, everyone. See ya!